Welcome, everyone. Have you ever stood at the crossroads, the path ahead of you shrouded in mist? One familiar voice whispers promises of comfort and a well-worn way. Another, a faint echo, beckons toward the unknown, a thrilling uncertainty. This, my friends, is the constant tug of war from within, the battle between the safe harbor of our ingrained habits and the whispers of a deeper purpose. The question is, will we listen to that inner voice? Welcome to the Aging and Spirituality podcast. We're glad to have you back. We love to talk about unrealized potential here and that song that is deep inside of us, dying to get out and sing. And I'm Kathleen Taylor, and this is
Chris Jensen, and I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah, I love stories. I've been playing with storylines, so that's such a fun way to start. And it's really a great description about this topic that I wanted to cover today. We're going to really go on a journey of self-discovery, and it's delving into this inner world, sometimes like a battleground where the ego and the soul are battling for attention. We're going to untangle those complexities and talk about those inner and outer guidance signals and how we discover how to navigate the whispers that come from inside, and really how to forge a path for ourselves in life that becomes the truest version of who we are inside. So here's an interesting question that I've been asking myself a lot lately. What if the world is changing for the good? In all this chaos and everything that is going on in the world, what if the outcome is going to be something amazingly good? I believe an old age paradigm that many people have been holding about scarcity and lack is dying. And that in its place, people are starting to wake up to the idea that we can have rich, spiritual lives being guided from our inner self, which results in a much more joyful way of living and a much more fulfilled way of being. So, to keep up this new way of being that I'm talking about, and being inside of love on a regular basis, we really need that critical skill. We need to know how to move from fear to love. And I really call it the ultimate transformation from fear to love in the age of spiritual awakening is what I titled this talk. How do we stay on that path of moving away from fear and living in love? It may just be the skill that helps save this planet. At least that's what I think could help.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to hear this.
Yeah,
It's when you get fearful, it's hard to get out. It's easy to get stuck.
it is. And we were just talking about that because I have some of that stuff going on in my own life right now. And you have to always be applying the principles of yoga or whatever path it is that you're on that gets you to the other side, that gets you back into a loving space. So I'm hoping by the end of this conversation, I'm feeling a lot more loving. So if it's true that we could transform the world by living in love and moving away from fear, how would we as a collective, as a world of people get there? Well, it starts with one. It starts with one person, one intention, one commitment, doing the work. So there are certain steps that you can follow, and I talk a lot about the places along the path where you can make a difference in shifting your energy from fear to love and really transforming ultimately for the benefit of everyone. So of course, the first one we have to say right up front is finding a way to connect with the inner self. For us, for Chris and I, that is meditation. For others, there are other religious paths that take them to that place. There are other things like mindfulness, being in silence, nature. We just find that meditation is the thing that transcends for us. What were you going to say?
It's in music, Some people can just focus on beautiful music and it takes them internal.
That's very true. There are many artists who do exactly that. So it kind of depends on where you are on the spectrum of spiritual growth, as to what techniques are going to come up and work for you. Some of us are battling the ego daily. some of us have practices that are already taking us from fear to love on a daily basis. And that's why I think there is this transition that's going on in the world. People are really learning how important it is to be in control of their energy and to, shift it into a good place as much as possible. And some of us are just really new onto the path, and the idea of being able to have a different life than the one that they've been told is there for them, because it can be incredibly peaceful and loving and fulfilling. And that is, if you take a look at your life and the drama around you, it doesn't seem like that's what's going on. But the point is, you can create it. You can practice things that will help you live in that space. So some of the habits that we can cultivate that will help us get there are, and Chris was just telling me, do an appreciation exercise where you're in a place when you think, I don't want to be here. This is not where I want to be. And you want to make that shift and you feel like you're stuck. Do an appreciation practice. Tell them what you told me, so they can use that.
Yeah, I can remember when I was in one or two jobs where I felt so trapped and so miserable. The people were obnoxious, the job was not fulfilling, and I couldn't see a way out. The economy wasn't great, and I was like worked myself into this pitch. And then I stopped and I did this practice of appreciating everything I had, everything about the job that I could appreciate. I mean, it was giving me income, it wasn't far from home. And I started that practice of appreciating everything in the job and everything in my life, and bingo, another opportunity came up for me. And,
Okay.
and this happened more than once, where I've been in
Yeah.
that situation.
Yeah, I remember that job. It does work. I'm definitely going to be practicing that. So some of the other things that you can do are practice gratitude and compassion. Cultivating that attitude of gratitude first thing in the morning when you get up. Yeah, I mean, you'll probably never get into a place, or a lot less often get into a place where you're feeling cut off or you're feeling like this isn't right. If you can live in gratitude, you're, 75% of the way there. And being compassionate with others is something that meditators learn how to do this so they shift their focus away from fear and towards positive emotions and fostering that loving mindset. So that is another way to go: compassion, feeling for other people. Being aware of what they are experiencing. You can also use techniques to let go of something like scarcity and move into abundance, which is another shift that I see a lot of people making. Even chanting mantras, just something like a simple Om is a really good example of that. Just chant Om when you get into a stuck space, a suck space too. Okay, so being mindful and meditative helps us to become aware of our emotions as well. So if there's something that's playing there in the background that you're not aware of, maybe it's subconscious. Often fear is subconscious. You'll become aware of it, and then you can do something about it. You have to keep your mind open to the possibilities of living in a much more loving, compassionate perspective towards yourself and towards others. That's a place to start. So I put a little piece in here about trauma because there are a lot of people that have trauma that are experiencing it, and it's important not to pretend it's not there. It is there, and it's we're not advocating bypassing anything that's going on in your life by using spiritual practices, but these practices will help you release some of these traumas. For example, not just yoga, but I mean, if you're dealing with trauma, it's always a good recommendation to get some kind of behavioral cognitive therapy. People that really are experienced and can help you get through that kind of trauma. It can help you identify the irrational thoughts and beliefs that are going on inside of you. And then once you know what those are, you have the awareness, you can change those into more loving places, more successful attitudes for you to live in. So don't be afraid to reach out for mental health professionals to help you for sure. There's all kinds of psychotherapy that's available. There's new things called acceptance and commitment therapy. There's compassion focused therapy. I mean, there's so much help out there. So this kind of work is really good if you're exploring the roots of your fear. You don't know what it is and you can't put your finger on it. This is a great way to do it. So let's see. Uh, Many yoga techniques will help you with the art of surrender. I know that that's been one of my biggest lessons in this lifetime. And oftentimes, learning to let go is very much a part of what trauma is. And trauma oftentimes requires things like learning how to forgive at a very deep, 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 deep level. So when you learn the art of surrender, it will take care of a lot of the trauma that you can just let go of. And the more you do surrender, the more you're able to be in a place of love, the less the trauma plays any part in your life. It just starts to fall away. It doesn't have the same impact on you anymore. So, right, there you go. I wanted to make sure I covered trauma in case any of our listeners are dealing with that. It's very, very important not to pretend it's not there. And the next idea I had was just keeping your mind open, doing things like journaling, and that will help you gain insight into repressed fears. I can't tell you how many times I'm journaling and thoughts will come out that I don't even know where they came from. So oftentimes those are subconscious thoughts that are playing. But with that, awareness, again, you can develop different strategies that transform those thoughts into love. You can, shift them into a different direction. I do that a lot because, as I said, I've had to learn surrender on many different levels to be able to stop being a will-centered person and becoming more of what yogis call a bhakti, more of a heart-centered person. So surrendering has been a really, really big lesson in my life. I focus on love when I know inevitable challenges are coming along. It's like almost like an armor, I have my love space. I make sure that's coming along if I know that I'm going to be dealing with people or situations that are going to be challenging. So there you go. Keep your mind open. That's one of the best things that you can do, so that you're not just following old patterns, into those places of fear. When you keep your mind open, you can develop new patterns that you can move into love. Okay, and then the last thing that I thought was really important on this subject was to really honor yourself and to remember that you are part of a unity. You are one of many. And just as we started out this talk, when you live a better life, when you are able to be in love more, you're going to benefit everybody around you and eventually the whole world. If enough of us do it, that's where it starts, because we're not in control of other people, right?
Right, but that's so true. I mean, I saw that one of the first things I noticed when I started doing the yoga practices and having more love expressing through me was it was the people around me were changing.
They feel it.
They feel it. They didn't know what it was, but they felt it.
Mhm. Yeah, that it's very, very true. That does happen. It's a resonance, it's a vibration. When you vibrate high, you will definitely bring up the vibration of the people around you. And it's important to recognize your own value and your own self-worth. If you really feel that, you can't help but love yourself. That is the true essence of who you are. You're a child of God. Feel it, enjoy it. So, okay. And when you recognize human beings as being interconnected, it's also a lot easier to not just foster that love between you, but the communication and the idea of being compassionate and being able to step into their shoes, and then you have that's where communities start to come together. That's where people that are in organizations that are growing things in the world start to come together. They have this love as a basis, and then they want to connect with each other in a way that they can show each other love and teach each other love and live it. And that's another step that you can take when you start to learn to really live in love. So recognize that you are one of many, many, many people on the planet. And just think about all the exciting opportunities, to meet new people.
Yeah.
Meet new people and do great things. Who knows what could come from it? So letting go of the need to control is important in that kind of a situation, because the ego is the one that wants to be right. And it's really a useless emotion. It's really, not good for moving forward in anything, for your personal well-being or anybody else's. So if you are somebody who is a controller, take a deep look at it and learn how you can let go of that, because that's going to affect a lot of your relationships in business and in your personal life. You want to really surrender into a flow of life that comes from inside of you. You're trusting that the universe is going to back you up. You're trusting that you're going to have the things that you need when you need them. So it's really important that you don't try to control, because you'll limit what spirit can do for you. You'll limit what your soul can do for you, and your soul can imagine it much deeper, much
Isn't that
bigger.
the big problem we all have?
Yes.
Control everything.
Yes, we do. Yeah, and she's talking straight at me when she's saying that, because I still have that concern. I do. I still try to control things when I get into a fear-based place. I'm afraid I'm not going to have a place to live. I'm afraid of, what I'm going to do next in life. I'm not sure where I'm going. And when I get into that place, I feel like I have to control it, like I got to go into survival mode.
Yeah.
And then I know I've got to trip back in. I'm answering my question. I got to get back into just being in a space of trusting that the universe will bring me what I need, and being in a loving place in the moment so you can enjoy yourself. So there you go. I guess the final thing that I wanted to say is just remember to connect to something greater.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way to end today. I mean, spiritual leaders are often emphasizing how important it is to connect with something greater than yourself, a higher power, a universal love, whatever it is that you call it, an interconnectedness of all being. If that works for you, this is the connection that's going to give you the sense of security and support and help when you're navigating fear and you're wanting to move into love. So there you go. My favorite conversation, moving into love.
I think it's
I hope
really
it
worked
helped.
just this week. I want to work on it. So
Good. Thank you. She helps me move into love. You need friends like Chris.
and Kathy.
Bye, everyone. See ya.
Bye.